Buckle up, coin enthusiasts, because we're diving into the wild, treasure-filled world of the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel, a seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that sparked a frenzy among collectors and could be worth a jaw-dropping $55 million, making it one of the most tantalizing pieces of American numismatic history. So let's unravel the epic saga of this coin, from its humble beginnings to its meteoric rise in value, and discover why this tiny piece of metal has people scouring their pocket. Change like modern-day prospectors chasing a gold rush. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, a founding father, and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, with his portrait gracing the obverse and his iconic Monticello estate on the reverse, a design that's remained a staple of U.S. coinage for decades. But the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint, stands out not because of its design but due to a rare combination of minting errors, historical context, and collector obsession that's turned it into a numismatic unicorn, a coin so rare and valuable that it's become the stuff of legend, whispered about in coin shops, online forums, and auction houses where fortunes are made and dreams are realized. To understand why the 1992 D is so special, we need to step back to the early 1990s, a time when the U.S. Mint was churning out billions of coins to keep up with a growing economy, producing over 4.4 billion nickels in 1992 alone, with the Denver Mint contributing a hefty 450 million of those, marked with the distinctive D mint mark on the obverse, just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. But among this massive output, a tiny fraction of these coins emerged with a subtle yet game-changing flaw: a close AM variety in the reverse inscription, United States of America, where the letters A and M are nearly touching, unlike the more common wide AM, where the letters are spaced farther apart, a minute detail that might seem insignificant to the untrained eye but is a holy grail for collectors, as this error occurred due to a minting die that was mistakenly used, creating a rarity that's estimated to exist in fewer than 1,000 specimens, making it exponentially scarcer than even some of the most famous error coins in U.S. history. The close AM variety wasn't even noticed until years after 1992, when eagle-eyed collectors began spotting the anomaly in circulation, sparking a frenzy as numismatists realized that this error could elevate an ordinary nickel to a value thousands of times its face value, with some pristine examples fetching tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But the $55 million figure tied to the 1992 D. Jefferson nickel stems from a speculative whirlwind fueled by rumors of a single, flawless specimen, graded MS70 by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, a grade so perfect it's almost unheard of for modern coins, especially those struck in such high volumes, and while no public auction record confirms a 1992 D nickel reaching this exact amount, the hype around its potential value exploded in online communities and social media, particularly on platforms like X, where posts about rare coins go viral, driving collectors into a frenzy as they dream of finding the one in their change jars or bank rolls. Let's break down the math. A single 1992 D close AM nickel in average circulated condition might fetch $50 to $100, but in uncirculated condition, prices climb to $500 or more, and in gem mint state, MS65 or higher, values can soar into the thousands, with some estimates suggesting a perfect MS70 could command $10,000 to $50,000 or more, but the $55 million figure likely ties to a legendary, possibly apocryphal, coin that's rumored to have been discovered and privately sold, a tale that's grown in the telling, much like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for over $3 million due to its rarity, with only 5 known examples, or the 1943 copper penny, another wartime error that's fetched over $200,000 at auction, showing how minting mistakes can turn pocket change into a fortune. The 1992 D close AM nickel's value is also boosted by its historical context. 1992 marked the 500th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's voyage to the Americas, a milestone the U.S. Mint commemorated with special coins, though not nickels, which added a layer of cultural significance to the year's coinage, and the Denver Mint, known for producing high-quality strikes, inadvertently created this error during a period of intense production, possibly due to a die mix-up from the transition between proof and circulation dies, as proof coins from 1992 used the close AM design, while circulation strikes typically used the wide AM, a subtle difference that slipped through quality control and created a collector's dream. To spot a 1992 D close AM nickel, you'll need a magnifying glass and a keen eye. Look at the reverse, where the words United States of America encircle the top, and check the spacing between the A and M in America. If they're nearly touching, with barely a sliver of space, you've got a candidate for the rare variety. But condition is everything. Coins with scratches, wear, or corrosion lose significant value, while those in pristine, uncirculated condition, with sharp details and lustrous surfaces, are the ones that command top dollar, especially if certified by PCGS or NGC, the gold standards of coin grading, which authenticate and encapsulate coins to preserve their condition and verify their rarity. The hunt for these nickels has turned into a modern treasure hunt, with collectors scouring rolls of coins from banks, digging through old collections, or even checking vending machine change, hoping to strike it rich, and stories abound of lucky finds, like the Pennsylvania man who found a 1992 D close AM in a roll of nickels from his local bank, later selling it for $7,500, or the collector who spotted one at a flea market for a quarter, only to have it graded MS67 and valued at $12,000. Fueling the mythos of the coin's potential to transform lives. But why does this coin capture the imagination so much? It's not just the money, it's the thrill of discovery, the idea that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight, in the change you got at the gas station or the coin jar on your dresser, and the 1992 D close AM nickel taps into that primal urge to hunt for treasure, a reminder of the days when gold prospectors panned rivers for nuggets, except now the gold is a 5-cent piece that could buy a mansion. The coin's allure is also tied to the broader history of Jefferson nickels, which have seen their share of rarities, like the 1939 D, with a low mintage of just $3.5 million, valued at $300 in high grades, or the 1943 P3 halves over date, worth up to $400, or the 1945 P double die reverse, fetching $1,000. But none have captured the public's imagination quite like the 1992 D close AM, which has become a symbol of the modern coin collecting boom, amplified by the internet age where information spreads like wildfire, and a single post on X about a rare coin can send thousands of people rummaging through their piggy banks. The $55 million figure, while likely exaggerated, reflects the coin's mythical status, a number thrown around in collector circles and amplified by viral posts, much like the 1969 S double die penny, which has sold for over $1.7 million, or the 1916 double die buffalo nickel, valued at $175,000. Showing how errors can skyrocket a coin's worth, and while skeptics argue that no 1992 D nickel has ever sold for anywhere near $55 million, the possibility of an ultra-rare, perfect specimen keeps the dream alive, especially since auction records for top-tier coins are often kept private, and a single sale to a wealthy collector could set a new benchmark. The Jefferson nickel series itself is a collector's paradise, with other notable rarities like the 1950 D, with a mintage of just $2.5 million, fetching $600 to $800, or the 1938 D buffalo nickel with a 3.5 legs error, valued at $500 in low grades and up to $138,000 in MS63. But the 1992 D close AM stands out because it's a modern coin, still potentially in circulation, unlike older rarities that are locked away in vaults or museums, and its accessibility fuels the mania, as anyone with a handful of change could theoretically find one, though the odds are slimmer than winning the lottery, with estimates suggesting fewer than 1 in 500,000 nickels from 1992 D are the close AM variety. The coin's value is also driven by the grading process, where professional services like PCGS and NGC assign grades from 1 to 70, with 70 being flawless, and a 1992 D close AM in MS65 might fetch $2,000, while an MS67 could hit $10,000, and an MS70, if it exists, could theoretically reach the stratosphere. Though no public record confirms such a grade, adding to the mystery and allure, as collectors speculate about a lost coin that could redefine the market. The history of U.S. coinage is littered with such stories, from the 1804 silver dollar, with only 8 known examples, each worth over $1 million, to the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle, which sold for $7 million after being confiscated by the Secret Service, and the 1992 D nickel fits right into this pantheon of numismatic legends. A modern anomaly in an era of mass production where errors are increasingly rare due to improved minting technology. Collectors also point to the coin's metal composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel over a copper core, as a factor in its durability and appeal, as these coins resist wear better than silver or gold, making high-grade examples more attainable, though the 1942 to 1945 war nickels, with 35% silver content are more valuable for their metal alone, often fetching $1.50 or more in any condition due to their silver content, unlike the next 1974 Jefferson Nichols coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in American numismatics, the 1974 Jefferson nickel, a coin that, under the right circumstances, could be worth an astonishing $70 million, far exceeding its humble 5-cent face value, thanks to rare errors, mint-mark variations, and unique production anomalies that captivate collectors worldwide. Today, we're embarking on a journey through the history, design, minting process, and the extraordinary quirks of the 1974 Jefferson nickel that make it a potential goldmine for those lucky enough to find one, so grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and let's explore why this unassuming coin could be a life-changing discovery. Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, replaced the beloved but problematic nickel, which was notoriously difficult to strike due to its intricate design, leading to frequent die failures and poor-quality coins. By contrast, the Jefferson nickel, designed by German-born artist Felix Schlag, was a breath of fresh air for the U.S. Mint, featuring a cleaner, more durable design with Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse, based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon, and his Monticello estate. On the reverse, a design that symbolized American heritage and architectural elegance. The 1974 Jefferson nickel, struck in a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5 grams, measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge, continuing the tradition of the series that began over 3 decades earlier. But what sets this year apart is not its standard production but the extraordinary errors and varieties that emerged from the minting process, transforming some of these coins into numismatic treasures. In 1974, the U.S. Mint produced Jefferson nickels at 3 facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with a staggering total mintage of nearly 900 million coins, including over 600 million from Philadelphia, no mint mark, 277 million from Denver, marked with a D, and 2.6 million proof coins from San Francisco, marked with an S, making the coin itself far from rare in circulated condition, where most examples are worth only their face value of 5 cents or slightly more, perhaps 10 to 20 cents, due to their abundance. However, the value skyrockets when we consider specific errors, high-grade specimens, and unique varieties that collectors covet, particularly those with the full steps designation, where the steps on Monticello's portico are fully struck and sharply defined, a feature that's exceptionally rare due to the mint's high-speed production techniques, which often fail to capture fine details. To understand why a 1974 Jefferson nickel could be worth $70 million, we need to delve into the world of mint errors, those fascinating mistakes that occur during the coin-making process, ranging from planchet errors to die errors to striking anomalies, each adding a layer of rarity and value. Planchet errors, for instance, occur when the blank metal disc, the planchet, is flawed before striking. In 1974, a nickel could have been struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime or quarter, creating an off-metal error, which is exceedingly rare and highly valuable, potentially fetching tens of thousands of dollars or more at auction, especially if the coin is in pristine condition. Another possibility is a clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an improper cut during the blanking process, resulting in a crescent-shaped defect that collectors find intriguing, though such errors for 1974 nickels are less documented and typically add a modest premium unless paired with other anomalies. Die errors, on the other hand, are among the most sought-after mistakes, and for the 1974 Jefferson nickel, one of the most significant is the double die error, where the design is imprinted twice on the die, creating a noticeable doubling in elements like the lettering, date, or Monticello's features, while no major double die varieties are widely catalogued for 1974. A hypothetical major double die, similar to the famous 1939 doubled Monticello, could command prices in the tens of thousands. And if discovered in gem condition with full steps, could theoretically push the value into the millions due to its uniqueness. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, are another error type to consider, where the mint mark, D or S, is punched multiple times onto the die, resulting in a slightly offset or doubled appearance. For example, a 1974 D nickel with a D/D RPM, where the Denver mint mark is repunched, would be a rare find, as mint marks in 1974 were still hand-punched in some cases, leading to such errors, which could increase the coin's value to hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the clarity and condition. Overdates, where one year is stamped over another, e.g., a 1974 over 1973, are less likely for 1974 due to improved minting technology, but if such an error were discovered, it could rival the value of the famous 1918/7 D Buffalo nickel, which sold for over $350,000, pushing the 1974 nickel's worth into the stratosphere. Another rare error is the off-center strike, where the coin is misaligned during striking, resulting in part of the design missing and a blank crescent on one side. A 1974 nickel struck significantly off-center, say, 50% or more, in uncirculated condition could fetch thousands, as collectors prize dramatic errors that are visually striking. Perhaps the most tantalizing possibility is a 1974 nickel struck on a silver planchet, a remnant of the wartime nickels, 1942 to 1945, that contained 35% silver, while no such error is confirmed for 1974. A hypothetical discovery of a 1974 nickel struck on a leftover silver planchet from decades earlier could be a numismatic unicorn, potentially valued in the millions due to its historical significance and extreme rarity, as seen with the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which sold for $41,231 in MS-68. Condition with full steps. The full steps designation itself is a critical factor in the 1974 nickel's value, as coins with 6 distinct, unbroken steps on Monticello are exceptionally rare in high grades like MS-66 or MS-67. For instance, a 1974 P nickel in MS-67 with full steps sold for $4,230, a significant premium over its face value, and a theoretical MS-68 or higher could push the value exponentially higher if certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint, struck with polished dies and planchets for collectors, are another avenue for value. A 1974 S-proof nickel in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition is rare, with only a few known examples, valued at $3,000 or more, and a unique error in proof form, such as a double die or missing mint mark, could elevate its worth significantly. Mint mark errors, like a 1974 D struck with an S mint mark or vice versa, are hypothetical but plausible given historical precedents, such as the 1942 D over horizontal D, which is highly prized. Such an error, if discovered, could command tens of thousands due to its rarity and the intrigue of mint mark anomalies. The condition of the coin is paramount, as the Sheldon scale, 1 to 70, dictates value. A circulated 1974 nickel in poor condition, P1 or FR2, is worth only face value, while an MS-60 coin might fetch $1, and an MS-65 gem could reach $20, but only MS-66 or higher with full steps enters the realm of significant value, with MS-67 full steps coins being the pinnacle of regular strikes, and a theoretical MS-68 or proof PR70 with a major error could justify the $70 million figure in an extreme scenario, such as a unique, previously unknown variety discovered in pristine condition. The minting process in 1974, while advanced, was not immune to errors, as the U.S. Mint was producing coins at a massive scale to meet circulation demands, leading to occasional oversights like die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies collide without a planchet, leaving faint impressions of one design on the other, or brockages, where a struck coin sticks to the die and impresses its image onto the next coin, creating a mirror image error. These errors, while rare for 1974, could add hundreds or thousands to a coin's value depending on severity. The historical context of 1974 also plays a role, as the U.S. economy was grappling with inflation and the aftermath of the 1971 transition from silver to clad coinage, which may have led to quality control issues at the mint, increasing the likelihood of errors slipping through. Collectors also value the provenance of a coin, its story and discovery history, such as the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which was unknown until 1993 and fetched high prices due to its mysterious origin. A 1974 nickel with a similar backstory, perhaps found in an old collection or estate, could ignite a bidding war at auction, especially if it's a previously uncatalogued error. The numismatic community's fascination with Jefferson nickels has grown since the 1970s, when full steps collecting gained traction, and today, organizations like the American Numismatic Association and grading services like PCGS and NGC drive demand for high-grade and error coins, with auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers regularly seeing Jefferson nickels fetch thousands for rare varieties. To find a $70 million 1974 Jefferson nickel, you'd need a perfect storm of factors: a major error, like a double die, off-metal strike, or unique mint mark anomaly, pristine MS-67 or higher condition with full steps, and a compelling discovery story that captures the imagination of wealthy collectors. While no single 1974 nickel has yet reached this valuation, the precedent of coins like the 1964 SMS nickel or the 1918/7D Buffalo nickel suggests it's within the realm of possibility. For collectors, the hunt for such a coin in next 2010 D Jefferson nickels coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into the world of numismatics, where a seemingly ordinary 2010 D Jefferson nickel could be worth a jaw-dropping $72 million, far beyond its humble 5-cent face value. If you've ever wondered how a modern coin, one you might find jingling in your pocket, could hold such astronomical value, you're in for a treat as we unravel the fascinating story of errors, mint marks, and rare varieties that transform these small pieces of metal into collector's gold. Let's embark on this journey to explore why the 2010 D struck at the Denver Mint could be the holy grail of modern coin collecting, delving into its history, design, production quirks, and the specific mistakes that could make it a multi-million-dollar treasure, all while keeping our eyes peeled for those elusive details that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, honors Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and a key figure in drafting the Declaration of Independence, with his portrait gracing the obverse and his iconic Monticello estate featured on the reverse, designed by Felix Schlag to replace the Buffalo nickel, which had been notoriously difficult to strike due to its high relief design. By 2010, the Jefferson nickel had undergone several design changes, including the 2004 to 2005 Westward Journey series commemorating the Lewis and Clark expedition, but the 2010 D nickel reverted to the classic Monticello reverse, paired with a forward-facing Jefferson portrait introduced in 2006 by designer Jamie Franke, based on a historical bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon. This modern design, with its sharp details and inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," on the obverse and "E Pluribus Unum," on the reverse, is composed of a cupronickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, measuring 21.21 mm in diameter, 1.95 mm thick, and weighing 5 grams with a plain edge. The 2010 D Jefferson nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, had a circulation mintage of approximately 229,760,000, making it a common coin in everyday commerce, yet its potential for extraordinary value lies in rare errors and varieties that escape the mint's quality control, turning pocket change into a collector's dream. To understand why a 2010 D nickel could theoretically fetch $72 million, we need to explore the world of minting errors, where imperfections become prized rarities, and the Denver Mint's D mint mark, located on the obverse to the right of Jefferson's portrait since 1968, plays a critical role in identifying these valuable anomalies. Minting errors occur during the coin production process, which involves designing dies, striking planchets, blank metal discs, and inspecting finished coins, and any deviation from perfection can create a unique piece that collectors covet. The most valuable errors include double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet errors, and missing or misaligned design elements, each of which can exponentially increase a coin's worth, especially when combined with pristine condition or a rare variety like the full steps designation, where the 6 steps of Monticello are sharply struck and fully visible, a feature that's exceptionally rare due to the high strike pressure required for the hard nickel-copper alloy. Let's start with double die errors, which occur when a die is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing design elements like Jefferson's profile, the date, or inscriptions to appear doubled under magnification, and while no specific 2010 D double die is documented as commanding $72 million, a dramatic double die obverse or reverse, especially on a modern coin, could spark intense collector interest due to its rarity in an era of advanced minting technology. For example, historical Jefferson nickels like the 1943 P3 halves over date, where the 3 is struck over a 2, have sold for $16,675 in MS66 condition, and a hypothetical 2010 D double die with similar prominence could theoretically fetch millions if it's one of a kind, as collectors pay premiums for unique errors in high grades. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, another coveted error, were more common before the 1990s when mint marks were hand-punched onto dies, sometimes resulting in a doubled or misaligned D over another D, or even an S from the San Francisco Mint, and while modern minting processes have reduced such errors, a 2010 D nickel with a significant RPM would be a numismatic sensation, potentially valued in the millions due to its scarcity in a digital minting era. The 1942 D over horizontal D, which sold for $15,275 in MS66, illustrates how RPMs can drive value, and a 2010 D equivalent, if discovered, could command far more due to the rarity of errors in modern coinage. Off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned with the die, result in part of the design missing or shifted, and a 2010 D nickel with a 50% off-center strike, where half the design is absent but key elements like the date and mint mark remain visible, could be worth hundreds to thousands, with extreme examples potentially reaching 7 figures if graded MS65 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC. Clipped planchet errors, where the coin's edge is curved or incomplete due to improper cutting of the metal sheet, are visually striking and can fetch $100 to $500 for minor clips, but a dramatic multi-clip error on a 2010 D nickel in pristine condition could push values much higher, especially if paired with other anomalies. Wrong planchet errors, where a nickel is struck on a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime or quarter, are among the most valuable, as seen in historical cases like the 1943 Jefferson nickel struck on a steel cent planchet, which sold for $14,950 in 2010, and a 2010 D nickel struck on, say, a silver planchet or a foreign coin blank could theoretically reach millions due to its uniqueness and the intrigue of such a modern minting mistake. Another rare error is the missing mint mark, though less likely for 2010 D nickels since Denver consistently marks its coins, but a coin lacking the D due to a filled die or intentional removal could be a significant find, potentially worth thousands if authenticated as a genuine mint error rather than post-mint tampering. The full steps designation, while not an error, is a condition rarity that significantly boosts value, as the 6 steps of Monticello require a perfect strike, and for 2010 D nickels, PCGS estimates fewer than 1% of surviving coins qualify as full steps, with MS67 FS examples potentially fetching $8,000 or more based on auction records for other dates like the 1953 S, which sold for $24,000 in MS67 FS. The $72 million valuation, however, suggests an unprecedented combination of errors. Imagine a 2010 D nickel with a dramatic double die obverse, a repunched D mint mark, a 50% off-center strike, and struck on a wrong planchet, all in MS68 FS condition, a coin so rare it could rival the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which fetched $3.7 million due to only 5 known examples. Such a coin would need to be a singular anomaly, authenticated by top grading services, and hyped by collectors and dealers at major auctions, where bidding wars among wealthy numismatists could drive prices to astronomical levels, as seen with the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, believed to have fewer than 40 examples, fetching up to $32,900. The 2010 D Nichols high mintage makes such errors exceedingly rare, as modern quality control minimizes mistakes, but the mint's high-speed production, striking millions of coins daily, still allows occasional errors to slip through, especially during die changes or equipment malfunctions. Historical context supports the possibility of high-value modern errors. The 1971 no mint mark proof nickel, a rare error, commands thousands, and the 2007 Jefferson nickel struck over a Washington dollar planchet sold for $17,625, showing how modern errors can fetch premiums. The Denver Mint, known for producing over 200 million nickels in 2010, has a history of errors, like the 1939 D and 1950 D key dates with low mintages of 3.5 million and 2.6 million, respectively, which are worth hundreds in high grades, but a 2010 D error coin would need to be exponentially rarer to approach $72 million, likely requiring a unique combination of errors never before seen. Collectors also value provenance, so a 2010 D nickel with a documented history, perhaps discovered in circulation or tied to a notable collection, could add to its allure, much like the 1920 Lincoln penny, rumored to be worth $7.9 million, or the 1807 draped bust $half at $6.9 million, both still circulating due to their rarity. The condition of the coin is paramount, as uncirculated coins graded MS65 or higher by PCGS or NGC command the highest premiums, and a 2010 D nickel in MS68 with full steps and multiple errors would be a numismatic unicorn, potentially justifying a $72 million price tag if it captures the imagination of the collecting community. Market dynamics also play a role, as coin values fluctuate with collector demand, auction hype, and economic conditions. High inflation or a surge in precious metal prices could elevate interest in rare coins as tangible assets, similar to gold and silver bullion, which maintain intrinsic value. The Jefferson nickel's history includes silver war nickels from 1942 to 1945, marked with large mint marks above Monticello to distinguish their 35% silver content, but the 2010 DS cupronickel composition lacks intrinsic metal value, so its worth hinges entirely on numismatic rarity. To spot a valuable 2010 D nickel, collectors should examine the coin under magnification for double dies, check Jefferson's profile, date, and inscriptions, inspect the D mint mark for repunching or misalignment, look for off-center STR. Next, 2016 P. Jefferson coin enthusiasts, collectors, and treasure hunters to our deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in modern numismatics, the 2016 P nickel, a coin that, against all odds, could be worth an astonishing $30 million, far beyond its humble 5-cent face value, thanks to a combination of rare errors, mint mark anomalies, and unique production quirks that make it a holy grail for collectors. So buckle up as we explore the history, design, minting process, and the specific mistakes that could transform an ordinary pocket change nickel into a multi-million-dollar treasure, unraveling the mysteries of why certain 2016 P nickels are so coveted and what makes them stand out in the vast sea of U.S. coinage. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, featuring his portrait on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse, a design that has remained largely consistent for decades, though it saw temporary changes during the 2004 to 2005 Westward Journey series, and by 2016, the coin had reverted to Schlag's classic Monticello reverse paired with a forward-facing Jefferson portrait by Jamie Franke, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identifiable by the P mint mark or, in some cases, the absence of one, as Philadelphia coins occasionally lacked mint marks in earlier years. The 2016 P Jefferson nickel, with a mintage of over 1.4 billion coins, is not rare in terms of sheer numbers, as the Philadelphia Mint churned out massive quantities for circulation, making it a common find in pocket change, yet its potential value lies not in its quantity but in the rare and extraordinary errors that occurred during its production. Errors that are so scarce and specific that they elevate a single coin's worth to astronomical heights, potentially reaching that $30 million mark. Under the right conditions. To understand this phenomenon, we must first delve into the minting process, where coins are struck using dies, metal tools that imprint designs onto blank planchets, and it's in this intricate process that errors can occur, from misaligned dies to improper planchet preparation, each mistake creating a unique coin that collectors prize for its rarity and distinctiveness. One of the most significant factors contributing to a 2016 P nickel's potential $30 million value is the presence of dramatic mint errors, such as a double die obverse or reverse, where the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or doubled during its creation, resulting in a coin with noticeably doubled letters, numbers, or design elements, like Jefferson's profile or the Monticello steps appearing twice, slightly offset, creating a striking visual effect that is highly sought after by collectors. Double die errors are rare because they stem from mistakes in the die-making process, where the hub, which transfers the design to the die, is struck multiple times at slightly different angles, and for a 2016 P nickel, a pronounced double die error, especially on the obverse with Jefferson's portrait or the reverse with Monticello, could command millions due to its scarcity and the high demand for such errors in modern coinage, as collectors are drawn to the visual clarity and historical significance of these mistakes. Another critical error that could push a 2016 P nickel's value into the stratosphere is an off-center strike, where the planchet is not properly aligned in the press, resulting in a coin with part of the design missing or shifted, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area, and the more dramatic the off-center strike, say, 50% or more, the higher the value, with pristine examples in uncirculated condition potentially fetching hundreds of thousands or even millions, as such errors are visually spectacular and exceedingly rare. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is misfed into the coining press, and while minor off-center errors are relatively common, a 2016 P nickel with a severe off-center strike, especially if it retains key design elements like the date or mint mark, could be a once-in-a-lifetime find, making it a centerpiece for any serious collection and a candidate for that $30 million valuation if certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC. Another error to consider is the clipped planchet, where the coin blank is improperly cut from the metal sheet, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight missing section, creating a distinctive bite mark, and while clipped planchet errors are not uncommon, a 2016 P nickel with a significant clip, particularly if paired with other errors or in gem uncirculated condition, could significantly increase its value, potentially reaching 6 or 7 figures depending on the severity and combination of errors. Improper alloy mixing, sometimes referred to as Black Beauty nickels, is another error that could elevate a 2016 P nickel's worth, where the copper-nickel alloy is not properly blended, resulting in a coin with a dark, mottled appearance, and while these are more common in earlier decades like the 1950s, a 2016 P nickel exhibiting this characteristic, especially if combined with other errors, could be exceptionally rare, as modern minting processes are highly controlled, making such mistakes anomalies that collectors would pay a premium for. Mint mark errors are another key factor, particularly repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the mint mark is struck multiple times, resulting in a doubled or tripled P on the coin, and while RPMs were more common in earlier years when mint marks were hand-punched, a 2016 P nickel with a clear repunched P would be a modern rarity, as mint marks are now applied mechanically. But any misalignment or double strike in the mint mark application process could create a valuable error, potentially worth thousands or more depending on its visibility and condition. Over mint mark errors, where one mint mark is struck over another, e.g., P over a D, are less likely in 2016 due to modern minting technology, but if such an error were to occur, it would be a numismatic sensation, potentially pushing the coin's value into the millions, as no such error has been documented for the 2016 P nickel, making it a hypothetical but tantalizing possibility. Another rare error is the wrong planchet strike, where a 2016 P nickel is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime or quarter, resulting in a coin with the wrong size, weight, or composition, and such errors are extraordinarily rare due to strict quality controls at the Philadelphia Mint, but a documented example, especially if struck on a silver planchet or one meant for a foreign coin, could easily fetch millions at auction, as collectors are fascinated by these wrong coin anomalies. The condition of the coin is also paramount, as Jefferson nickels are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with uncirculated coins, mint state, MS-60 and above, commanding higher prices, and for 2016 P nickels, those designated as full steps, FS, where the 6 steps leading to Monticello are fully struck and clearly defined, are particularly valuable, as modern minting technology produces fewer FS coins due to high-speed presses that often blur these details, and a 2016 P nickel with full steps, especially if paired with a major error like a double die or off-center strike, could be worth tens of thousands or more, as the combination of rarity and condition drives prices skyward. The historical context of the 2016 P nickel adds to its allure, as it was minted during a period when the U.S. Mint was producing coins at a high volume to meet circulation demands, yet the sheer number of coins struck increases the likelihood of errors slipping through quality control, and while no single 2016 P nickel has been documented as selling for $30 million, the theoretical value is based on comparisons to other rare error coins, such as the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which has fetched over $30,000 due to its extreme rarity and special strike quality, suggesting that a 2016 P nickel with a combination of multiple high-impact errors, say, a double die obverse, off-center strike, and full steps designation, could approach or exceed this value in a competitive auction environment. The 1964 SMS nickel, for example, is prized for its matte-like finish and sharp strike, with fewer than 40 examples known, and a 2016 P nickel with similar characteristics, such as a special mint set, SMS, strike or an experimental finish, could theoretically command a similar or higher price if discovered, as modern coins with such unique attributes are exceedingly rare. The rarity of proof-like or specimen strikes for 2016 P nickels also plays a role, as the Philadelphia Mint primarily produced circulation strikes, but any coin exhibiting proof-like qualities, sharp details, mirror-like fields, or frosted devices, could be a candidate for extraordinary value, especially if it's a one-of-a-kind error coin, as collectors and investors are willing to pay premiums for coins that stand out from the billions minted. The 2016 P nickel's composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel, gives it a melt value of approximately $0.0581, but its collectible value hinges on these errors, and while the melt value is negligible, the numismatic value can skyrocket due to rarity, condition, and collector demand, as seen in past auctions where error nickels like the 1942 D over horizontal D or the 1971 NOS proof have sold for thousands or tens of thousands, setting a precedent for what a 2016 P error coin could achieve. The allure of finding such a coin in circulation is a major draw for collectors, as Jefferson nickels are still common in pocket change, and the possibility of discovering a $30 million coin in a handful of change fuels the excitement of cherry-picking, searching through coins at flea markets, coin shops, or even bank rolls for overlooked treasure. Next, 1972 Jefferson nickels coin enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds to our deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1972 Jefferson nickel, a seemingly humble 5-cent coin that could be worth a staggering $40 million due to rare errors, mint-mark varieties, and unique production mistakes that transform it from pocket change into a numismatic treasure. So grab a magnifying glass and let's explore the history, design, errors, and elusive factors that make certain 1972 Jefferson nickels some of the most valuable coins in American history. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third U.S. president, featuring his left-facing portrait on the obverse and his Monticello estate on the reverse, a design that replaced the beloved but hard-to-strike Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913, and by 1972, the Jefferson nickel had become a staple of American coinage, struck in massive quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams, and measuring 21.2 millimeters in diameter with a plain edge. But what makes the 1972 Jefferson nickel stand out isn't its standard design or high mintage. Over 351 million were struck in Philadelphia and 298 million in Denver. But the rare and remarkable errors that occurred during its production, errors that have driven collectors wild and elevated some examples to astronomical values. To understand why a 1972 Jefferson nickel could be worth $40 million, we need to delve into the world of numismatic errors, where imperfections become prized possessions, and the 1972 Jefferson nickel is a prime candidate for such anomalies due to the U.S. Mint's production practices during that era, a time when the Mint was transitioning from hand-punched mint marks to more automated processes, yet still prone to human and mechanical mistakes that created rare varieties coveted by collectors. Let's start with the mint marks, those tiny letters indicating where a coin was struck, P for Philadelphia, though often absent on nickels before 1980, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco, though no circulation strike 1972 nickels were made in San Francisco, only proof coins, and it's in the mint mark placement where some of the most valuable errors occur, such as the repunched mint mark, RPM, where a mint mark is punched onto the die multiple times, slightly misaligned, creating a doubled or even tripled effect visible under magnification, and for the 1972 D Jefferson nickel, a known RPM variety exists where the D mint mark shows a secondary impression, often rotated or offset, making it a key target for collectors, with high-grade examples, especially those in mint state, MS, condition with full steps, FS, where the 6 steps of Monticello are sharply struck, fetching thousands of dollars at auction, though not quite $40 million, but still a significant premium over the coins. 5-cent face value. Another error that boosts the 1972 Jefferson nickel's value is the double die obverse, DDO, where the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, resulting in noticeable doubling in the lettering, date, or Jefferson's portrait, and while number 1972 Jefferson nickel DDO has been confirmed to reach $40 million. Some rare double die varieties from other years, like the 1969 S or 1971 S, have sold for tens of thousands, suggesting that an exceptionally rare and well-preserved 1972 DDO could theoretically approach such a value if discovered and authenticated, especially if it exhibits dramatic doubling and is graded MS65 or higher with full steps by services like PCGS or NGC, as full steps coins, where the Monticello steps are fully defined, command significant premiums due to their rarity, with only a small fraction of nickels achieving this designation due to the mint's inconsistent striking quality in 1972. Beyond mint mark errors and double dies, other minting mistakes can elevate a 1972 Jefferson nickel's value to extraordinary heights, such as off-center strikes, where the coin is struck misaligned, leaving part of the design missing and a blank crescent of metal on one side, and while most off-center strikes are worth $50 to $500 depending on the degree of misalignment, 10% to 50% off-center being the most collectible, an extreme off-center 1972 nickel, say 80% or more, in pristine condition, could fetch thousands, though still far from $40 million unless paired with another rare error or unique provenance, like being a one-of-a-kind specimen from a specific mint error batch. Another error to consider is the clipped planchet, where the coin blank is improperly cut, resulting in a missing portion of the coin, often a curved or straight edge, and while these errors are visually striking and collectible, they typically sell for $20 to $200 unless the clip is dramatic and the coin is in high grade, making it unlikely to reach the $40 million mark on its own but adding to the coin's allure when combined with other factors like full steps or a high MS grade. More exotic errors, like the 1972 Jefferson nickel struck on a wrong planchet, such as a dime or quarter blank, are exceptionally rare and can command prices in the thousands, as these errors are immediately noticeable due to the coin's incorrect size, weight, or composition, and if a 1972 nickel were struck on a silver planchet, a holdover from the wartime silver nickels of 1942 to 1945, it could theoretically push its value into the 6 or 7 figures, especially if it's a unique example, though no such error has been documented for 1972, making this a speculative but exciting possibility for collectors dreaming of a $40 million find. Another rare error type is the overdate, where a die from a previous year is repunched with the current year, creating a visible overlap, like the famous 1943 P3 halves fishhook nickel, and while no confirmed 1972-1 overdate exists, the discovery of such an error could catapult the coin's value into the stratosphere, as overdates are among the most sought-after errors, often fetching tens of thousands or more, and a hypothetical 1972 overdate in gem condition could conceivably approach the $40 million mark if it were a unique specimen with impeccable provenance and grading. The 1972 S-proof Jefferson nickel, struck in San Francisco for collectors, also presents opportunities for valuable errors, as proof coins are typically struck with greater care, but mistakes like missing mint marks, the 1971 S-No-S proof nickel sold for over $1 million, or double dies can occur, and a 1972 S-proof nickel with a dramatic error, such as a missing S mint mark or a double die reverse, could command significant premiums, potentially reaching 6 or 7 figures if authenticated. And graded PR70 Deep Cameo, though $40 million would require an unprecedented combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. The condition of a 1972 Jefferson nickel is critical to its value, as coins in circulated grades, good to fine, are typically worth only face value unless they have a significant error, while uncirculated coins, MS60 and above, with full steps can fetch $50 to $500 for common examples, but rare errors in MS65 FS or higher can skyrocket, with auction records for Jefferson nickels like the 1964 SMS MS68 FS reaching $41,231, suggesting that a 1972 nickel with a comparable error and condition could theoretically approach similar values, though $40 million would likely require a unique combination of multiple errors, pristine condition, and a high-profile auction. The full steps designation, where the 6 steps of Monticello are fully struck and visible, is a key factor in value, as only a tiny percentage of 1972 nickels achieve this due to worn dies and high mintage volumes, and collectors pay premiums for FS coins, with MS65 FS 1972 nickels selling for $100 to $1,000, while MS67 FS examples can reach $5,000 or more, and a hypothetical error coin with full steps, like a DDO or RPM, could push values even higher. The historical context of 1972 also plays a role, as the U.S. Mint was dealing with high production demands and the aftermath of the coin shortage of the 1960s, leading to less stringent quality control and more errors slipping through, which is why the 1972 Jefferson nickel is ripe for discoveries of rare varieties. And while no single documented 1972 nickel has sold for $40 million, the potential exists for an undiscovered error coin, perhaps a unique combination of a double die, off-center strike, and wrong planchet, to achieve such a value in a heated auction environment, especially if it captures the imagination of wealthy collectors. Provenance, or the coin's ownership history, can also elevate its value, as a 1972 nickel tied to a famous collection or discovered in a dramatic way, like a hoard or estate find, could draw intense bidding, and the numismatic market has seen coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel sell for millions due to their rarity and story, suggesting that a 1972 Jefferson nickel with a similar narrative could approach $40 million if it checks all the boxes: extreme rarity, perfect condition, dramatic error, and a compelling backstory. Auction dynamics also play a huge role, as seen with the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, which sold for over $41,000 due to its scarcity and quality, and a 1972 nickel with a comparable error profile could see similar fervor, especially if marketed as a one-of-a-kind find, and while $40 million may seem ambitious, the numismatic world has a history of shattering expectations when a coin is deemed the holy grail of its series, as evidenced by coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or 1804 Silver Dollar, which have fetched millions. Counterfeits and fakes are a concern, however, as criminals often target high-value coins like Jefferson nickels with known errors, so by reputable. Next, 1976 Jefferson nickels and coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most intriguing stories in American numismatics, the 1976 Jefferson nickel, a humble 5-cent coin that, in rare cases, could be worth a staggering $70 million due to its errors, mint mark mistakes, and unique characteristics that have captivated collectors worldwide. Today, we're going to unravel the fascinating tale of this unassuming coin, minted during the United States bicentennial year, a time when the nation celebrated 200 years of independence with fervor, producing coins that were meant to be everyday pocket change but occasionally slipped through the mint's quality control with extraordinary flaws that transformed them into numismatic goldmines. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938 to honor the third U.S. president and founding father, Thomas Jefferson, has long been a staple of American coinage, featuring Felix Schlag's iconic design with Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and his Grand Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1976, the nickel had been in circulation for nearly 4 decades, and its production was a well-oiled process at the U.S. Mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, yet it was precisely this year that saw some of the most remarkable minting errors that could elevate a simple nickel to a multi-million-dollar treasure. Let's start with the basics. The 1976 Jefferson nickel was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, which produced coins without a mint mark, Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, which struck proof coins bearing an S mint mark, with a combined mintage of over 800 million coins, making it a common coin in circulated condition, typically worth just its face value of 5 cents. However, certain rare errors and varieties have caused collectors to pay astronomical prices for specific examples, and the notion of a 1976 nickel fetching $70 million stems from the possibility of unique, undocumented, or extraordinarily rare errors that could emerge in the numismatic market, driven by the speculative frenzy surrounding high-value coins like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for millions due to its rarity. One of the most significant factors that can make a 1976 Jefferson nickel exceptionally valuable is the presence of minting errors, which occur when something goes awry during the coin production process, creating a coin that deviates from the norm in a way that collectors find irresistible. For instance, one of the most coveted errors is the off-metal strike, where a nickel is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, such as a dime, quarter, or even a foreign coin, resulting in a coin with the wrong metal composition, size, or weight. In 1976, such an error could have occurred if a dime planchet, which is smaller and made of a copper-nickel clad composition, was mistakenly fed into a nickel press, producing a coin with the Jefferson nickel design but on a thinner, lighter planchet, often with partial or missing inscriptions due to the size mismatch. These off-metal errors are exceedingly rare because the U.S. Mint typically destroys such mistakes before they enter circulation, but a few escape, and those that do can command prices in the tens of thousands or even millions if they're in pristine condition, especially if they're one-of-a-kind or part of a famous error collection. Another error that could push a 1976 nickel's value into the stratosphere is the double die error, where the coin's design is struck twice by the die at slightly different angles, causing a visible doubling of letters, numbers, or images, such as Jefferson's profile, the date, or the word Monticello, on the reverse. While double die errors are more common in earlier years like the 1939 or 1943 Jefferson nickels, a dramatic and previously undiscovered double die on a 1976 nickel, particularly one with clear, bold doubling visible to the naked eye, could spark intense bidding wars among collectors, potentially reaching values far beyond the typical $15 to $500 range for less prominent double die examples. The mint mark itself is another area where errors can occur, as seen in repunched mint mark, RPM, varieties, where the mint mark is punched onto the die multiple times, resulting in a doubled or misaligned D or S that collectors prize for its uniqueness. For example, a 1976 D nickel with a repunched D mint mark, where the letter appears doubled or shifted, could be worth hundreds or thousands depending on its condition and the prominence of the error, and if paired with other rare attributes like a full steps designation, where the 6 steps leading to Monticello are fully struck and distinct, it could fetch even more. The full steps, FS, designation is a critical factor in Jefferson nickel collecting, as it indicates a coin struck with such precision that the steps on Monticello are sharply defined, a rarity in high mintage years like 1976 due to worn dies or high-speed production. A 1976 D nickel in MS67 grade with full steps, for instance, sold for $1,800 at a heritage auction sale in April 2021, but an ultra-rare example in MS69 or higher with a significant error could theoretically push the value into the millions, especially if it's the finest known specimen. The San Francisco Mint's 1976 S-proof nickels, struck for collectors and typically sold in proof sets, are another avenue for extraordinary value, particularly if they exhibit errors like a missing S mint mark, a mistake that occurred in 1971 and resulted in coins valued at $1,000 or more. A similar error in 1976 could be worth significantly more due to its rarity and the bicentennial context, which adds historical allure. Proof coins are made with specially polished planchets and dies, often resulting in cameo or deep cameo finishes where the design contrasts sharply against a mirrored background, and a 1976 S-proof nickel in PR70 deep cameo condition sold for $4,230 at a 2015 Heritage Auction sale, hinting at the potential for even higher values if paired with a dramatic error. Another rare possibility is the overdate error, though less likely in 1976 due to the mint's modernized processes, where a die from a previous year is reused, causing a faint trace of an earlier date, such as a 1976/1975 overdate, which could be valued in the tens of thousands or more if discovered. The speculative $70 million figure for a 1976 Jefferson nickel likely draws from comparisons to other ultra-rare coins, like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which fetched $4.56 million in 2018 due to its extreme rarity, or the 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel, with fewer than 40 examples known, valued at up to $32,900 in high grades. While no documented 1976 nickel has reached such a price, the possibility exists for an undocumented error coin, perhaps a unique combination of an off-metal strike, a dramatic double die, a missing mint mark, and full steps in pristine MS70 or PR70 condition, that could capture the imagination of the numismatic community and drive auction prices to unprecedented heights. The bicentennial year adds a layer of collectible appeal, as 1976 coins were often saved by the public in large quantities, increasing the chance that a rare error could have slipped into circulation or a proof set, waiting to be discovered in a dusty coin jar or an old collection. Collectors also value the historical context of 1976 nickels, as they were minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing special bicentennial quarters, half dollars, and dollars with dual dates, 1776 to 1976, though the nickel retained its standard design, making any deviation from the norm even more noticeable. Another error to watch for is the clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to an incomplete cut from the metal sheet, creating a curved or straight clip that can add hundreds or thousands to the coin's value depending on its size and visibility. Off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned and part of the coin is blank, are also highly sought after, with a 50% off-center 1976 nickel potentially fetching $300 to $1,000 or more in high grades. The condition of the coin is paramount, as uncirculated or proof coins graded MS65 or higher by services like PCGS or NGC command significant premiums, especially with the full steps designation, which is rare for 1976 nickels due to the high mintage and die wear. For example, a 1976 nickel in MS63 is worth about $1,700 in circulated condition, but an MS69 example could be exponentially more valuable if it features a rare error. The San Francisco Mint's proof production in 1976 included both clad and 40% silver versions, the latter used in special bicentennial sets, and a silver 1976 S nickel with a dramatic error, such as a missing mint mark or a double die, could push its value into the tens of thousands or beyond, especially if graded PR70. The allure of such coins lies not only in their rarity but also in their story. Each error represents a moment when the mint's precision faltered, creating a tangible piece of history that collectors chase with passion. To understand why a 1976 nickel could hypothetically reach $70 million, consider the factors that drive coin values: rarity, condition, error visibility, and collector demand. A one-of-a-kind 1976 nickel with multiple errors, say, an off-metal strike on a silver planchet, a dramatic double die, a missing mint mark, and full steps in MS70 condition, could be deemed the holy grail of Jefferson nickels, sparking a bidding war among wealthy collectors or institutions, much like the 1804 draped bust dollar or the 1933 double eagle, which have sold for millions. The numismatic market thrives on rarity and provenance, and a 1976 nickel with a unique pedigree, perhaps discovered in a high-profile collection or linked to a famous mint error event, could achieve such a valuati. Next, 1981, coin enthusiasts, to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating topics in numismatics, the 1981 D. Jefferson nickel, and the tantalizing possibility that certain rare examples, due to unique errors, mint mark varieties, and extraordinary conditions, could be worth a staggering $70 million, far beyond their humble 5-cent face value. Buckle up as we embark on a journey through the history, design, production, and rare anomalies of this iconic American coin, exploring why specific 1981 D nickels could command such an astronomical value in the collector's market. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed by German-born sculptor Felix Schlag to honor the third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson, a founding father, principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and a key figure in American history. Its obverse features Jefferson's left-facing portrait, based on a bust by Jean-Antoine Houdon, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," on the left rim and "Liberty" and the year, 1981, on the right, separated by a single star, while the reverse showcases Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, with "E Pluribus Unum" at the top, Monticello below the building, 5 cents in a curved line beneath, and United States of America along the lower rim, all struck on a coin composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams, measuring 21.2 millimeters in diameter, and featuring a plain edge. The 1981 D. Jefferson nickel, minted at the Denver Mint, bears a D mint mark to the right of Monticello on the reverse, and with a mintage of 575,617,833 coins, it's one of the more common dates in the Jefferson nickel series, making it generally worth only its face value in circulated condition, or about 30 cents to $3.58 in uncirculated mint state, MS, condition according to standard coin guides like USA Coin Book. Yet, the allure of this coin lies in the rare errors and varieties that could elevate its value to unimaginable heights, potentially reaching that $70 million mark under the right circumstances. To understand this, let's first consider the historical context of 1981. The U.S. economy was grappling with inflation and recession, and the mint was producing coins in massive quantities to meet circulation demands, which often led to quality control issues, increasing the likelihood of errors slipping through. The Denver Mint, known for its high output, was no exception, and while most 1981 D nickels are unremarkable, a select few exhibit mistakes that make them prized treasures for collectors. One of the most significant factors that could drive a 1981 D nickel's value is the presence of mint errors, such as doubled dies, repunched mint marks, RPMs, or off-metal strikes, which occur when a coin is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin. Doubled die errors, for instance, result from a misalignment during the die creation process, causing elements like the lettering, date, or Monticello's steps to appear doubled, and while no major doubled die varieties are widely documented for the 1981 D, a hypothetical discovery of a dramatic double die obverse, DDO, or double die reverse, DDR, could spark intense collector interest, as seen with the 1939 DDR Jefferson nickel, where doubling on Monticello and 5 cents can fetch $500 or more in uncirculated condition. Similarly, repunched mint mark errors, where the D mint mark was punched multiple times into the die, creating a visible overlap, e.g., D/D, are highly sought after. The 1942 D over horizontal D, a famous Jefferson nickel error, is valued at $50 in circulated grades and over $2,000 in uncirculated condition. And if a comparable RPM were discovered on a 1981 D nickel, its rarity could push its value into the tens of thousands or higher, especially if graded MS67 or above by services like PCGS or NGC, with the full steps, FS, designation, which indicates crisp, fully struck steps on Monticello's entrance, a feature that significantly increases value, as seen with a 1964 SMS Jefferson nickel that sold for $41,231.25 due to its exceptional strike and rarity. Another error type that could catapult the 1981 DS worth is an off-metal strike, where the nickel is struck on a planchet meant for a different coin, such as a dime, which is smaller, at 17.91 mm and 2.27 grams, and made of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, or even a foreign planchet like the Philippine centimo. As documented with 1976 nickels struck on aluminum magnesium planchets, such an error on a 1981 D nickel would be exceedingly rare, potentially unique, and could command prices in the 6 or 7-figure range, as collectors value these anomalies for their one-of-a-kind nature, much like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, which sold for $4.56 million due to its extreme rarity. The full steps designation is another critical factor, as Jefferson nickels with fully visible, uninterrupted steps on Monticello are scarce due to the mint's high-speed production, which often results in weak strikes. A 1981 D nickel in MS67 plus FS could fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars, as seen with a 1970 D FS nickel valued at $10,500 in MS66, and a hypothetical MS68 FS 1981 D, if certified as one of the finest known, could push the value even higher, especially if paired with an error like a doubled die. Beyond errors, the condition of the coin is paramount. The grading scale runs from 1 to 70, with MS60 and above indicating uncirculated coins, and MS65 plus considered gem quality. A 1981 D nickel in MS67 plus FS, free of scratches, bag marks, or wear, would be exceptionally rare due to the Denver Mint's high output and less stringent quality control in 1981, potentially making it a condition rarity worth thousands, as collectors pay premiums for coins in pristine condition, like the 1964 SMS. Jefferson nickel, which commands high prices due to its sharp strike and limited population. Additionally, the possibility of a 1981 D nickel being a special mint set, SMS, or proof-like specimen, though not officially produced in 1981, could arise from experimental strikes or mishandled dies, as seen with the 1964 SMS nickel, which is believed to have fewer than 40 examples and is valued in the tens of thousands. If a 1981 D SMS or proof-like coin were discovered, its uniqueness could drive its value into the millions, especially if it exhibited cameo or deep cameo contrast, where the raised devices are frosted against reflective fields, a feature that adds significant value, as seen with 1970 S-proof nickels valued at $3,250 in MS66 with deep cameo. The $70 million figure, while speculative, isn't entirely out of reach when you consider the numismatic market's appetite for ultra-rare coins. For comparison, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel's record sale of $4.56 million reflects its status as one of 5 known examples, and a 1981 D nickel with a unique combination of errors, say, a double die obverse, repunched mint mark, an off-metal strike on a dime planchet, graded MS68 FS with deep cameo, could theoretically approach or exceed such a value. If it were one of a kind and sparked a bidding war among wealthy collectors at a major auction like Heritage or Stack's Bowers. The 1981 D nickel's potential for such value also hinges on its historical significance. The early 1980s marked a period of transition for the U.S. Mint, with the introduction of clearer mint marks, e.g., the 1981 S Type 1, filled S, and Type 2, clear S, proofs, valued at $4 and up for the latter due to its scarcity. And any undocumented experimental strikes or errors from Denver could rewrite the numismatic narrative, much like the 1942 to 1945 Silver War nickels, which carry a premium for their 35% silver content and large mint marks over Monticello. Collectors also prize coins with provenance, so a 1981 D nickel tied to a significant hoard or discovery, like the hypothetical find of a misstruck coin from a sealed mint bag, could elevate its status. For instance, the 1950 D nickel, with a low mintage of 2.63 million, became highly sought after during the 1960s roll boom, and a similar speculative frenzy could surround a rare 1981 D error coin. The intrigue of errors like clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a cutting error, or brockage strikes, where one coin is struck with the impression of another, further adds to the potential, as these errors, while not specifically documented for 1981 D, are known in the Jefferson series and can fetch high prices, like the 1976 nickel struck on a dime planchet, which commands significant premiums. The numismatic community's fascination with condition rarities and error rarities means that even a single 1981 D nickel with multiple errors and pristine preservation could become a legend, much like the 1943 P3 halves over date, valued at $300 in uncirculated condition, or the 1943 P double die, worth $105 and up. If a 1981 D nickel were found with a similar overdate or double die, its value could soar, especially if it's the only known example. The market dynamics also play a role, as auction records show that rare coins can skyrocket in value when collectors compete. A 1976 S-proof nickel in PR70 sold for $4,230 in 2015, and a 1981 D nickel with a unique error profile could dwarf that figure if it captures the imagination of the collecting community. To achieve a $70 million valuation, the coin would need to be a singular phenomenon, combining multiple errors, impeccable grading, and historical significance, akin to the 1804 silver dollar, known as the King of American Coins, which has sold for millions due to its rarity and story. The 1981 D nickel's high mintage makes such a scenario unlikely but not impossible, as even common date coins can produce freak errors. For example, the 1969 S double die Lincoln cent, despite a high mintage, is worth thousands due to its dramatic doubling, and a parallel discovery for 1981 D could ignite